So, I don't usually watch anime, but I decided for spring 2024 that I'm gonna watch one episode of almost every airing anime, or at least as long as I can go, and then I'm going to rank every anime based on the first episode so you can get my general impressions, and also maybe it can help you decide to watch a series. Before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and make a new category here, just so people understand that I will not be talking about two heavy hitters of this season, which is going to be Konosuba and the Slime Isekai. I dropped these way before Season 3. Konosuba, I think, is not funny at all. And Slime, it was just boring. It wasn't, like, egregiously bad. It was just not very exciting. Anyway, we're going to get started with... we're just going to go in the order here, and we're going to get started with one of the biggest anime of the season, allegedly, which is going to be Kaiju number 8. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of how this anime looks visually. It's, to me, very flat and unappealing, and the character designs are, not good. I do really like the premise of the cleaners after a monster battle, and I do like the idea of a 30-year-old protag. But as someone who has read the manga, not all of it, but I dropped it at some point, I know these things are not really delivered on to the extent that I would hope for outside of its beginning. Kafka doesn't really ever feel like a 30-year-old man who has given up despite his deepest desires. He feels like he's just a standard shonen 15-year-old protagonist, and it's not super exciting to watch. Basically, for me, Kaiju number 8 is just a big pile of not at all what I wanted, so I'll try to use this anime as an opportunity to go in with entirely different expectations. The second half of the first episode is way better than the first, in my opinion. The sunset lighting, the chase scene, the eerie music that plays as Kafka stands up to the Kaiju, that was all done pretty well. I will give Kaiju number 8 a C for now, as I try to rediscover this series. And just to make it clear, the way this tier list works basically is, if it gets below a C, I'm dropping it. I'm not going to continue past episode 1. If it's a C or a B, I'm going to do the standard 3-episode rule, where I try to watch 3 episodes and see how it is after that. Anything above that, I think, probably has pretty good potential. So the second anime is going to be Reincarnated as a 7th prince, or whatever. There's like 300 reincarnation animes on this list. The start of this anime looked quite interesting in terms of visuals, though in its average shots, this anime is quite lackluster. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it doesn't look like a super cohesive piece. Is it a compositing issue? I don't know. The big zoomed out shots are super not good. However, I will give it one upside. Being reincarnated and not being a pedophile, that's big, okay? Clear as Mushoku Tensei, at least. I think the direction carries the visuals here. Power fantasy stuff, not super interested in. Being born a talented magician, being surrounded by women, and being taken into the bath with them all, I can tell this is just not going to be for me. Oh wow, they're fighting over who gets to sleep with them tonight. Yeah, this is ass. I can respect the protagonist's only goal is to learn stuff, but coupled with this weird power fantasy stuff, the harem bath shit, and the most generic fantasy setting of all time, it's not a hit. We're gonna put that one in D. Now, Unnamed Memory, this is a series that a lot of people like a lot more than I was expecting. There are things that I liked about this anime. I like the protag and the witch. The little history they have set up is cool. Basically, the anime premise is this guy goes out because he has a curse, and he passes all these witches' trials because he's trying to get information. This is oddly familiar. I was, however, not fond of the typical anime approach of just keep asking a woman even if she said no until she says yes. It's a shtick I'm not super fond of, but also Undead Unluck had the worst first volume known to man, and it became one of my favorites, so I won't mark it as severely as one would expect. At least he didn't want a child bride. That's a W for anime. I'll give it a shot, and hopefully it at least becomes something worthwhile. Our next one is going to be Reincarnated Aristocrat. So, this anime is about a dude who dies and gets reincarnated. Wow, who would have fucking thought? But the main difference here is that this guy has no power, except the ability to appraise people's skills. We see his pre-isekai life for like 3 seconds, and he just has a heart attack and dies, which is crazy. I always appreciate a story where someone isekai or reincarnated isn't all that powerful. I would at least tolerate this if it's him having no power besides appraisal the entire time. Like, hey, a fantasy series that is doing racism without using demi-humans as an allegory. That's also interesting. I can appreciate that. Honestly, this show wasn't bad. It was fine. Rather than some wish fulfillment shit, it seems to be just a strategy game. I worry that since his pre-isekai life had literally zero focus, that it won't matter at all, and at that point, why be an isekai? Also, it would be really funny if racism was solved now that he beat his dad, but let's find out, I guess. We're gonna put this one in C, and we're gonna keep watching. Maybe. Up next, we have Girls Band Cry. This is about a country girl moving to Tokyo, trying to make a living for herself. I assume that there's some past family drama by the sounds of it, but I'm not entirely sure of the circumstances. And she meets up with a guitarist who she is quite fond of, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be an anime about them starting a musical career together. This anime is entirely CG, which is the obnoxious anime fan's worst enemy. In Girls Band Cry, it works perfectly fine. The movement and character acting in this is phenomenal, which a lot of people wouldn't expect for 3D animation. A lot of people have some very preconceived notions about CG, but CG is a wonderful tool for all kinds of creative work, not just anime, and I mean, just look at this anime. It flows very well, it looks very nice. There's this particular scene that I like where someone just straight up ignores her, and you get the impression like, oh, grr, city folks sure are mean, but then like for the rest of the episode, she's getting helped by city folk. It's a good way to show that these places are big melting pots of people who don't, but also do care about what you got going on. People do just want to help you. People aren't intrinsically evil, like some anime fans might suggest. The movement feels so smooth, and the anime is so well put together. There's an interesting angle to tackle about how badly some people can get fucked over by copyright or getting played by it, essentially. One of the girls doesn't even make enough to survive because she signed over her rights to her music, which is a thing that happens. It's super fucked up, but it is what it is. And I can vibe with the whole message of don't give up on your dream, coupled with the discussion about how brutal of an industry it is to survive in. Hopefully it can continue to balance these messages and deliver a pretty solid anime. Girls Band Cry, solid B. I was a solid fan of this one. Okay, our next anime is going to be Re-Monster, which definitely has the worst OP of the season. Let me go ahead and summarize Spring 2024 for you, please. Isekai, 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 reincarnation, reincarnation, reincarnation. Everything is a generic medieval fantasy anime. Oh, and also there are game mechanics. Of course there's game mechanics. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be setting up that the anime is a good guy or something, because he was eating humans in the flashback or whatever, and now he's helping these poor defenseless goblins, or if he's gonna remain a piece of shit. If he's a monster, this would be D tier. If there is an attempted redemption arc, it's F. I have very, very little to say about this anime that's good. Boring designs, boring direction, boring art, boring premise. He just gets reincarnated as a goblin. And he's like a mega powerful. That's it. That's all it is. So tentative F, but for now D. Studio apartment. As soon as there was this little scene where he spills his drink all over. This is like in the first 2 minutes, by the way. He spills his drink all over her chest and all down her legs. And I dropped the anime right then and there. Terrible. Terrible show. We are not going to be there. The next one's going to be God's Game, and this is a strange one. So God's Game is an anime about playing games against gods, and if you win enough games, I believe you become a god. I might be misremembering the premise, but there's something like that. And I do have to admit, opening this and not getting a medieval European fantasy setting with RPG mechanics was an immediate breath of fresh air. The first episode is a whole lot of nothing. Then we had to get a cleavage and an ass shot for like no reason. It's typical anime shit, it's whatever, I guess. We play a memory-based matching game, which is a fun way to do exposition while still doing character work, and this is the episode that I've taken the least notes on so far besides Studio Apartment, because there was not really a lot of happening. There wasn't really anything interesting with the protagonist, extremely lengthy explanations, the entire episode is an explanation, very stiff episodes. I originally had this at a D, but that first episode was so unimpressive, I figured that I could give it a couple more to see if it tries to cook something, so we're gonna put it in a D for now. Yozakura Family is probably going to be one of the 2 or 3 heavy hitters of this season. I really like this one. I am a manga reader. Basically, it's about a kid who loses his family in an accident and is kind of adrift because he doesn't feel like he wants to get close to people anymore. But then he ends up involved in a spy family, not to be confused with Spy X Family, because things actually happen in this series. Loss, found family, and protecting those you love at the cost of yourself. I really like Yozakura Family, and the first episode is pretty damn good. I read the manga, so I know it'll be even better. Kyoichiro's gag of being an obsessive brother is super unfunny, and it will never be funny, by the way. You think it's over? No, 200 chapters later, he's still doing it, and it's never funny. Lots of good stuff to come, though. Incredibly well-translated character designs and super good character art with some great visual direction, and a very good action scene near the end. This is a banger. Watch this one. This is going to be one of the top anime of the season for sure. Something isekai, super cheap power. I don't know these fucking titles anymore, man. Anyway, this is an anime where he gets isekai'd. Holy shit, dude. Who would have thought? But yes, it's an anime where he gets isekai'd. It has immediate anti-racism messaging, but I guess anime was never political, lol. I can appreciate the premise spin about, you know, the dude just wanting to go home the entire time. I do think it's interesting how he's isekai from a world with racism into one seemingly without it. That's unique, I will give it that. See, this anime has a couple of unique twists on an isekai premise, but it doesn't really feel like it delivers on them too much on the first episode. The government basically sends him to his death because they fucked up the summoning, and they realized, oh, this dude's actually not that powerful, and then he gets sent out to a forest, and it's like, holy shit, he's really powerful! I'm not really fond of mega powerful protagonists. I'm not really a wish fulfillment type guy. His original world is practically no different to this one, which is something, I guess, maybe another interesting twist on the premise. I like the premise twists, but again, not all that interesting. It did make fun of lolicons, so W. That's going in C. Jellyfish can't swim in the night. I believe that this will also be one of the big heavy hitters of the season. Either that, or maybe I'm just very partial to it. I love series about arts, and Jellyfish is all about artists, whether they be literal, you know, graphic designers or musicians. So this one really spoke to me. Yoru in particular is pretty compelling to me. The desire to be someone, but fearing the response to your art. You know, wanting to circumvent the typical soul-crushing Japanese work-life balance to do something you're passionate about, but fearing even a positive response. Because people having hundreds of eyes on the shit that you do is scary, especially when it's something so personal like, you know, your drawings or your music. I can totally get that. She was shamed for her passion as a teenager, and, you know, wishes she had the confidence of Kano without realizing that this girl, too, had that experience because a lot of people are afraid of putting themselves out there. Because that's really what art is at the end of the day. Making art is putting yourself out there for tens, if not hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to critique. And it feels like when people critique your work, it's as if like you're personally being attacked. Of course, that's something you can work through, but I mean, these are teenagers, so of course they haven't gotten to that stage yet. This anime is incredibly full of life. Great visuals, fantastic composition and direction, wonderful character acting. I honestly don't know where my praise can end for this. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but this might be my favorite of the season so far. I really love series about art. Easy way to win me over. Next up is going to be Windbreakers. This is a series about delinquents going to delinquent school or some shit. Honestly, I might have missed that part. I don't know. It's more interesting than I expected, though. The protagonist has lived a life of being made fun of for how he looks, for how he acts, and at this point, all he wants to do is embrace it, to prove them right. He wants to be reviled, and if he's going to be called all these things, he might as well prove it. But now, he has the opportunity to do good, something he shows unconscious signs of, like grabbing that grandpa stuff. You know, he keeps doing good things because he can't be rotten deep down despite his overwhelming desire to be rotten. He keeps bitching about saving people, but he keeps doing it. You know, it's cool. It has some very good action scenes. I do think that this will probably be one of the better ones of the season. I'm not super into it. I'm going to give it a B, though. I do like it. I am just now realizing that I mixed up Banished Hero and and Super Cheat Powers because these look exactly the fucking same. Sorry. Banished Hero. This is Banished Hero. My bad. Banished, so I'm going to put this in C because that was true. Banished Hero. It's crazy how many isekai or fantasy anime just use in-game mechanics, level, stats. This anime sucks. They're bad visuals, no interesting character direction, lame animation, art style that sucks. I question why this isn't even an isekai to begin with, because of his past life's power, because he wanted to live an ordinary life. I feel like you could probably write a more compelling reason for him hiding his powers without the isekai factor. This anime is poorly put together and extremely generic. The dragon fight was so ass. It's D. Sorry about that. They are indistinguishable to me. Half of these fucking anime are the same. So this next one is gonna be Elf Bride. It's about a really rich and powerful dude who buys a wife, and it's supposed to be a romance anime. I feel like this anime could be a lot of fun, but every time something I'm supposed to think is cute happens, I can't help but get the pretext out of my mind of like, you purchased her, she is literally your property. Watching him fawn over them holding hands was like nasty. You spent 1 million gold on her, she has nothing but you, and she expects you to kill her. What is the romance here? It's a one-sided power dynamic that further perpetuates a really awful idea of women being property. I don't know. This is so crazy. This is the same shit as like, but they're a nice slave owner. Still a slave owner. You know, I'm sure he's gonna treat her well. Still purchased her as property. That's fucking deranged. As far as this elf is concerned, she has no options. She has been bought for the sake of being killed or tortured, and it's not even that you... I don't want people to think that you can't have shit like this in your series, okay? Vinland Saga is a series that does slavery shit like really well, especially because it's selling you the idea of historical accuracy, but this is a fantasy anime where the concept of slavery was only introduced to facilitate this fucked up power dynamic between the protagonist and the love interest. So I can't in good faith say that this is really cool and epic, because it's terrible. This is so fucking weird. F. Bad. Next up we have Glass of God, which is about bartenders, assumedly. I don't really know what I was expecting with this, but it wasn't what I got. I also realized that, holy shit, alcohol sucks, and I don't care about it. I'm sure some people would enjoy this. It's just about bartending. Some people say it's chill. Not for me. It's a D, not because I hate it, just because I don't think I'm interested in this at all. Sorry, guys. Second to last, we have Spice and Wolf. Now, this is about a merchant who comes across, like, some fox spirit, some crazy shit. The direction of this anime, super fire. I do understand that this is a remake of an anime, basically readapting the source material, apparently making it stick more closely to the source material. I haven't watched the original, but I was pretty big on this one. This was the first one I watched for the season 2, and I was like, wow, you know, this might go pretty well. Damn. I love the way that some of these shots are framed. Such a good animation on simple shots, too. Very fun and dynamic opening. Traveling merchant anime seems like it could be so interesting as well. You know, you have so many aspects of trade and different countries' cultures. You know, I'm not sure how far it's going to dive into it, but I sense a lot of potential with this one. Lawrence finds a magical wolf person in his cart, and his first thought is, dude, get out. Wait a minute. I can make money from you, or something like that. And he might be goated, okay? I really, really like the art style of the show. It's very pretty. And Hollow wanting to leave because she feels unneeded, and the stigma of having to create bad harvests sometimes, you know, to save the soil. I like that a lot. And she just wants to go back north. Yeah, I can see these two having a fun relationship, a wolf spirit having to learn mercantilism, and Lawrence having to learn to live with this kind of being. I really fucked with Spice and Wolf episode 1. Very cool. Slap that nay. Now, Ranger Reject, or Loser Ranger, whatever you want to call it, dude, I don't know. This is basically about how a bunch of creatures came to take over the world, and they got their ass beat by knockoff Power Rangers, and they facilitated a deal where they get their ass beat every week for the sake of entertainment. And that's super interesting to me. That's a really cool premise. Basically, the protagonist, you're a goon who was forced to repeat loss every single week to maintain your truce with incredibly strong fighters, but what if one of those goons is tired of that? That's super cool. And the direction of this anime was really fire. This anime looks absolutely fantastic. Super cool dynamic shots, great art all around, good use of CG. It took a while for it to explore its premise for a pilot episode, but it had me locked in with its great visuals. So I will be seated for this one. I have also seen the opening for this one. Oh my god, it's flames. Actually, great opening. So this is going to be an A for now. I have a feeling this will probably creep its way into S. These are my thoughts on a lot of the 2024 spring anime. I really think, at the very least, Yozakura and Ranger Reject, these will be the two standout. My personal favorite might end up being Jellyfish, depending on how it goes in the future. Spice and Wolf, I'm super looking forward to. Windbreakers, I will tentatively watch, and Girls Band Cry seems like a lot of fun. The anime in C, I'm going to just give an extra shot, just because I don't feel that they had the time that they might deserve to explore a premise. D are either anime that I didn't really like that much, or I'm, you know, just not interested in continuing. F, these things suck. Thanks everyone for coming out. If you like this video, make sure you tell me in the comments so that I know that I should do it again. Or maybe later on I can extrapolate on the anime that I really, really liked at the end of the season. Thanks for coming out, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for the funny YouTube algorithm. You can also become a YouTube member, which gives you access to behind-the-scenes content, a badge on comments and livestream chats, as well as the use of emotes and videos before their actual release. You can also check the description for socials like Twitter, where I'm objectively correct all the time, and Discord, where we talk about ReZero, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, and stuff like that. That's about it, though. Thank you for watching. See ya.